start the hour in Somalia, where life has returned to normal 1 year after a deadly truck bomb killed hundreds in Mogadishu. CGTN's Abdulaziz Billow visited the KM5 junction to assess the situation and the aftermath of the country's worst terrorist attack.
This is the busiest junction in Mogadishu, where thousands of commuters either depart or arrive in the city each day. It's a profitable business for public transport vehicles and rickshaw drivers who are constantly competing for customers. Nearby, business is booming, with new stores and banks opening up almost every other day. However, this wasn't the scene a year ago, after a huge truck bomb detonated at the KM5 junction, locally known as Zobe, killing more than 600 people, injuring hundreds others, while also destroying property worth millions.
I was working at Fatty restaurant and the walls collapsed on us while we were inside. We panicked but managed to sneak from the back. I sustained injuries, but the fact that I'm still alive is all that matters, because many people died that day.
1 year later, no group has claimed responsibility, but the events of that day remain vivid in the minds of millions of Somalis. More than 300 small business owners also lost their main source of income in the bloodbath that has come to be known as the Mogadishu massacre.
Somali people have proved time and time again that they're resilient. We have shown that despite setbacks, we can rise up and rebuild our nation. As you can see, shops, hotels and businesses have reopened.
Authorities say that they have put up measures to avert a similar disaster in the future, including a ban on trucks during the day and increased surveillance at all entry points to the city. Abdurrahman Umar Usman is the mayor of Mogadishu and acknowledges the security challenges facing his administration in the quest to secure the country's most populous city.
On one hand, we are fighting. On the other hand, we are professionalizing for our security. We are building strong intelligence, so that it will take time. On the 14th of October, even though that was one of the serious attacks that happened in Mogadishu, nevertheless, it created a momentum where the people said enough is enough. That has created a momentum of unity of purpose against terrorists.
But despite security assurances, some buildings are still in ruins. The owners are still reluctant to rebuild in fear of losing their hard-earned efforts to another blast. To many, it's an attack that changed the entire nation, once again proving that it's civilians who continue to pay the price in the ongoing conflict that's showing no sign of coming to an end. Abdulaziz, Billow, CGTN, Mogadishu, Somalia.
Well, in the wake of that massive terror attack, the US has been providing more ground and air support to Somali and African Union troops. But on the other hand, it's also dramatically reduced security and development aid for the country. From Washington, Daniel Reintes reports.
The US Africa Command led naval training with Somali and other regional forces in Djibouti earlier this year. Funding for this kind of long-term assistance has been dramatically reduced under Donald Trump, while American airstrikes and ground support for the African Union and Somali forces has been increasing.
Over the last 10 years, the conversation about security in Somalia has been about military operations, airstrikes, offensive operations against Al-Shabaab. These are important components of the fight against terrorism. But we would all acknowledge that terrorism cannot be defeated by military means alone.
Somali National Security Advisor Abdi Said Ali agrees with this panel of experts gathered at the Africa Center for Strategic Studies, calling for support in building economic and political unity.
One thing that Al-Shabaab is very deft at is its ability to go in and manipulate clan grievances, so that if one clan is seen as dominating a federal state or a particular security unit, and that clan has enemies, Al-Shabaab will go to those enemies and say, let us be your force multiplier, let us work with you to resist your traditional enemies. And that logic needs to be broken down.
Dramatic reductions in American funding for security training and development are undermining US strategy in Somalia, according to Brittany Brown, the most senior advisor on African strategy to former President Barack Obama and then to President Donald Trump until she left the White House a year ago.
What's happened is that the Trump administration has systematically undermined, both financially and bureaucratically, the diplomatic and development aspects of the U.S. foreign policy, therefore leaving the military. So the only thing that's left really is the military, who is fully funded and has unlimited power under the Trump administration. And so with that in mind, the easy thing to do is to look to drone strikes.
More than half of the population of Somalia, 6.2 million people, are in need of humanitarian assistance and protection under strain from the twin perils of conflict and drought. Somali experts say the US needs to go beyond immediate security assistance to help strengthen this fragile state and prevent a new generation of Somalis from being driven into the arms of al-Shabaab. Daniel Wrenches, CGTN, Washington.